my friends, welcome to my channel, Pumpkin Hollow Quilts. My name is Olivia. Today is Friday, September 23rd, and I am back for my stitching update. It has been 2 weeks since my last one, so I hope you have all been well. You've been stitching and making and creating all of the things. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. This is a video podcast slash vlog where I talk about my cross stitching as well as my quilting. However, if quilting is not something that you're interested in seeing or hearing, I show it a little bit later on in the video and I let you know in plenty of time that they'll be making their appearance so that way you can go on to the next Flosstube video. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back. So how have you guys all been? I hope you've had a great 2 weeks since we last sat down to chat. As you can probably tell, I did go ahead and change out all of my decor for Halloween. Yesterday was the first day of fall, my favorite time of the year. Of course, if you look outside, it still very much feels like summer, but we have those cool, crisp nights, and then the days start off cold, so it's definitely like hoodies, sweatshirts, long pants, and by lunchtime, 1 o'clock, it's shorts and tank tops. So I'm really looking forward to when the weather changes, and it definitely is that, you know, leafy, spicy pumpkin, foggy weather that we all love for autumn. So last year, if you followed along on my Flosstube journey, during this time of the year, I kind of stopped my rotation and just focused on one piece at a time. Became a monogamous stitcher during autumn and into the Christmas season. And I still had content for my videos, so I had a lot of previous finishes that I was able to show in my videos. This year, I don't think I'm going to do that. I do have, it's kind of weird, my rotation's kind of in a holding pattern right now. I did finish Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow, which I have it to show. But I do have a piece that I am going to be focusing on for a little while. I also have a whip that's coming up out of the mocking basket that I will be working on over these next 2 weeks. But I'm keeping my rotation kind of light because on October 18th, I am starting a massive sampler with Yvette. So I'm kind of keeping things light, just kind of working through kind of what I already have. I don't really want to add anything new until I finish something. So you will see the same 2-ish projects until I do start that big sampler in October. And if I, of course, finish Midnight Watch, you know, I have something that I will be starting as soon as it's done. So I do have plans as we go through the autumn season. But all that to say, I still plan on showing some of my previous finishes, and I hope you guys don't mind. I know they would have been ones that, you know, I've been working on over the past couple of years, but when they come out of those totes, I get so giddy when I see them. And I know that if I, you know, insert pictures of my decor and put them at the beginning of the video, a lot of you guys are, you know, gonna want to see them a little bit more close up. So I do plan on showing my previous finishes, and I'll just kind of sprinkle them through the videos as we go. So I hope you guys don't mind. I really am trying to just focus on finishing what I have, especially Midnight Watch, because I do want to get that done before Halloween. So hope you guys will continue to bear with me, and that you won't mind seeing some of my previous finishes. I'm excited to show them again because I haven't seen them in a year, and I would love to be able to me, they seem new again. So I would love to be able to show them all over again. Okay, so I took a little bit of a break. I realized that my video just started like seconds ago, but I started it before I did lunch, and then I've had lunch and got lunch for the hubby and Allison, who came home from school yesterday. I forgot to mention that she is back in school. She'll be a senior this year in college, and we moved her in last Sunday. So she has been there all week. She came home yesterday, and then this morning she found out she got a job on campus. So she'll be doing the box office for the theater there, and she's really excited. I think it'll be a great job for her, so we're super proud of her. And I also forgot to mention in my last video that Ethan got a seasonal job. He will be working at the Harvest Fest over at Bauman's for the next 4 or 5 weeks. So he's really excited to get a little bit of experience. He's had kind of a hard time finding a job. They said a lot of it has to do with the fact that he's 16, and a lot of jobs want you to be at least 18 now. So he had a little bit of struggles. He wasn't able to find one, and then he was able to get one working over at Bellman's. So if you happen to go to the Harvest Fest, you see a very good-looking, tall, blonde-haired, piercing blue eyes kid. That's my boy. And then, of course, if you happen to be seeing a play at Western Oregon University, and you see a very pretty blonde with piercing blue eyes, she's mine as well. Anyway, so we are just very, very proud of both of them. So I also feel like I have been talking 100 miles an hour since I started recording this video. I'm sure I have forgotten 100 things. So if I have, they'll probably just kind of randomly come up in bits and pieces of the video as we go along. So before I talk about what I've been working on over these past 2 weeks, I did see a new Flosstube. It popped up as, a lot of times I'll just do autoplay. So it just kind of came up as it just autoplayed. And the Flosstube channel is called Sew and Sews, and it's hosted by Nancy and Kathy. They have 2 videos out already. They do a variety of, they do cross stitch, and then they also do a lot of other textile type crafts. I believe they're both quilters, so they do a lot of that, and it was a great video, or both of their videos were great. So definitely go and check them both out. For these past 2 weeks, I continued working on my morning stitch, and it comes from the book by Blackbird Designs called Ooh La La. And the chart that I'm stitching is called A Little Bit French Pin Roll. And when it is done, hopefully it'll look a little something like this. So it is a lot of fun to work on. It's a great way to start the day. And here is my progress. So I am stitching this on a piece of a 36 count Heritage by Picture This Plus with Weeks Dye Works Baked Apple. And I'm stitching at 1/2. And I really love how it is turning out. Don't have too much farther to go. I believe there is another row of either an alphabet or numbers. And then the very bottom row has, there's either a couple of letters or a couple of numbers. And then I'm trying to decide if I should personalize it or just leave the called for, or the name that's already charted on it. So I do need to decide that. So hopefully in my next video, I will have this one complete. And it is super cute. It will be for the trench bowl well, I am thinking if I can get it done and get it fully finished, it will probably go in with the Christmas stuff because I don't have a lot of Christmas smalls yet. And then when Christmas is over, it'll just stay in the trench bowl, and I will leave it in there and kind of swap it out seasonally because some of the other seasons I don't have a lot of seasonal smalls for some of the other seasons. So I think this will be one that will work to kind of help fill the trench bowl as we go through the other parts of the year. Next up is Midnight Watch by Blackbird Designs. So I did start this one the night before my last video. So I barely had, I think I had like the bottom border, and I might have started up in here, and that was all the farther that I got. After it came out of my rotation, I went and worked on Autumn at Hawk Run Hollow to get it done. So I did start back on this one 3 nights ago, I think. And here's my progress. So I'm stitching it on a piece of a 36 count Patriot Brew by R&R. And I am stitching it with various threads 1/2. I did have to do some substitutions. And I've been trying to use some of the threads that I already have in my stash. And luckily I had some that were pretty close to what the called for is. The only thing I am hoping is that all of the orange that you see is Gentle Art Sampler Threads Ginger Snap. And I'm hoping that the skein of thread that I have will last because it definitely is in quite a bit of the sampler. So fingers crossed. I love working on this piece. I cannot wait to get it done. My goal is to get it done well before Halloween. It is going to be kind of my focus piece, so I'm definitely going to pour as much time as I possibly can into it. I have wanted to get it done for a very long time. I've been seeing it pop up on other Stitcher samplers walls, and I want it on my wall this year. So I am determined. I also went ahead and stitched the date, so I definitely have to get it done this year. But I love it. I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to seeing how well the house will do because I did have to substitute out the house color, and I believe I am using Tin Roof by Weeks. So I do have some stitches in, but I don't have enough yet to really decide if it is going to work. So I know if I can get my video edited and uploaded in time to stitch tonight, then I definitely am going to stitch more of the house so I can make sure that it really is going to show up. But I cannot wait. I know I have a long ways to go because I have the whole house, I have the giant moon, and then the black cat. And I think once I get through that, then it'll be pretty smooth sailing. So I cannot wait. I'm glad I decided to do it. It was calling my name just constantly, and I just knew that I needed to get it done this year. So as far as all of my rotation goes, that's it. I finished Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow, and since then I've just been working on Midnight Watch, and then for the morning I've been working on a little bit French. So I had a lot of you guys asking, now that Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow is finished, what will I pull up out of the mocking basket of whips? And it was always going to be Autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain, which I refer to as Autumn on Lazy Beast Mountain because it is humongous. But it is absolutely stunning. I've seen it in person finished and it's gorgeous. So I cannot wait to eventually get it done. I know that I will be working on this and it'll be in my rotation for a while. I don't anticipate a finish soon. It'll definitely be sometime next year. So I thought I would show where I left off the last time I worked on it. I did try to work on this one and Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow in my rotation at the same time, and it was just way too much. So that's why this one kind of went back into the mocking basket. Because I pulled this one out, there are two that remain. And I cannot wait until the number is zero. So definitely can't wait to get back to this one. I'm still trying to decide if I should just finish Midnight Watch first and then work on this one with the Beast of a Sampler. I'll be starting with Yvette, and I'll talk about it in my next video because it'll be a little bit closer to the start date on it. So I do need to decide. So hopefully I'll have some progress to show in my next video, but if not, definitely the one that follows. I am stitching it on a piece of 40 count Vintage Country Mocha with Jen Lee Quirks and Stitches thread conversion, and I'm stitching it 1/2. And I'm pretty positive it is 40 count. I did not save usually I save the paperwork that comes with it to, so that way I have a clue what it is I'm stitching it on. And for some reason that piece of paper has went missing. I originally thought it was 36 count, but when I was looking at the stitches and I was comparing the stitches on this to Autumn at Hawthorne Hollow, they look pretty similar to each other. So I'm pretty positive it is a piece of 40 count Vintage Country Mocha. Hopefully, if I'm wrong, I will definitely correct it in my next video. Okay, so over the past 2 weeks, I did have an amazing finish. Lots of celebrating happened over here. It was strange because I was happy I had finished the piece, but at the same time, I was a little sad. And I know it's so silly. It happens every once in a while, especially on these larger pieces. I remember feeling the same thing when I finished my Anniversaries of the Heart and when I finished Queen of Freedom. I was really happy to have them done, but at the same time, I missed them and I kind of mourned the loss of working on them a little bit. And I've heard other stitchers mention it too, so I know that it's not, just something strange that's up in my head. But I was really happy. I'm going to love having this on my wall. I did not get a chance to go look for frames. I have a possible frame that I might use, but I need to go out and make sure that I can, because right now it's gold and I need it to be more bronze, and I need to see if I can paint it. I'm not sure that I can. But I definitely need to go to the Goodwill to see if they've got any new frames. I was not able to do that over these last 2 weeks. Just there always seemed to be something going on every single day, and I'm hoping that maybe over the weekend I'll be able to pop over there and see if they have any frames, because this is going to get framed as soon as possible. I had thought about just using the frame I already have, but I didn't want to rush the process. I feel like whenever I try to rush something into a frame, I have 100 issues. And I definitely don't want to rush the finish of this because I want it to be just right. So here is Autumn at Hawker and Hollow. And it's gotten to the point now where it's really hard to show it all together without it being way back here. So I do apologize. And of course, I will insert pictures of it finished at the end of the video. The block that I worked on was the one next to Tom Turkey. It actually went pretty quick. I was really surprised. I feel like all of the other blocks took me a little bit of time, and this one just went really, really fast. But I really, really love it. I think the two little people in the carriage are adorable. Of course, I love that big giant log house, and I just love everything about that block. So I cannot wait to have it in the frame and get it on the wall and enjoy it and look at it every single day. Oh, I just love it. I had a blast working on it. I'm so glad that I stuck with it. There were some times where, I felt not that I was tired of working on it, but I definitely, I just felt like I needed to get it done. And I could feel myself wavering every once in a while, like, oh, let's just start something new. You'd see something somewhere and you just think, oh, it's fine. I'll just set this aside and I'll pick it back up later. But I'm glad I stuck with it and kept going, because now I have this amazing finish and I cannot wait to get it framed and get it on the wall. I love it. I would move here in a heartbeat if I could. If there was an Autumn at Hawker and Hollow that existed in the world, I would move here and I would live in this house right here. Even though I think technically it's supposed to be a bakery, but that's okay. I could have the bakery in the front part of my house, and in the back side I could live there. So I absolutely love it, love it, love it. And I want to say thank you to everybody who encouraged me to keep going, to keep stitching it. Thank you so much for all of your kind comments as I worked on it. Just thank you, thank you. It meant a lot to me. So now it is done. I have had it kind of rolled up in my closet because that's where I keep my bigger pieces. I will just roll them up. And so I've had it stored in the closet. And so whenever I go in there, I see it rolled up and I just think I need to get a frame for it. So again, I wasn't going to rush it, because anytime I rush anything, that's when I run into all sorts of mistakes. So definitely number one on my list of things to get done before my next video is going to be getting this in its frame. And I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I can't wait. And maybe when I get it up on the wall, that feeling of like melancholy will evaporate, because I will have it to look at it all the time. So I'm so excited. I did fully finish something over the past 2 weeks, and I had to make sure that I did not show this in my last video, and I did not. and that is American Farmhouse by the Scarlet House. I think in my last video I had the frame made, but because the frame had to be cut down, and it was cut down, it just had to be painted. So after my last video over that weekend, I went ahead and painted it, and then took my cross stitch piece, I took a piece of mat board, 3 pieces of batting, and I laced it. And it went really, really easy. I was super surprised. I thought maybe I would have to fight with it a little bit because I really didn't leave myself a whole lot of border around the piece to lace it. And I knew I was going to have to sew on a piece of scrap linen to the sides and the top, but it actually went really, really well. And I was very pleased. So this is a piece that will most likely hang in my bedroom. I have quite a bit now that needs to be hung up, so I'm not sure that this will make it in there. It might just hang out in the other room. But I love it. I think it turned out fantastic. I decided to paint the frame black. I went and sanded it, and then I did distress it with antiquing wax. But I love it. I think the black helps pull out some of the darker elements of the stitching, and then the antique wax color helps some of the other kind of stand out. So I really like it. Really, really like it. So happy to have that one done and out of the whip basket. It just makes me so happy. So I thought I would show 3 previous finishes. These 3 are probably my favorite autumn finishes that I have done to date. The first one is Olga's Autumn Stocking by Plum Street Samplers. So I stitched this one with my friend Yvette, and we were able to finish it, I believe, last year. I sometimes, the last from 2020 until now, I feel like the years just blended in with each other. So sometimes I have a hard time remembering when exactly I did something unless I can remember the exact date. I don't know if any of you guys also have that same issue, but I'll look at something and I think, yeah, I finished that last year, and then I will actually go on Instagram and I will look at the date and it's actually the year before or even the year before that. So I'm pretty positive I finished this last year. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, it would have been the year before. But I stitched this with my friend Yvette, and then I remember making it into a stocking, and it actually went really well because the chart doesn't come with any stocking directions or a template or anything like that. So I kind of had to figure it out myself. The backing is a piece of Civil War reproduction fabric that I bought from my local quilt shop, the Speckled Hen in Aurora, Oregon. I did stitch it with the called for threads, and I stitched it 1/2. I believe this is a piece of 36 count something by Lakeside Linens, and I think it was the called for. So whatever the called for linen is, that is what this one is. I'm pretty positive. And as I always do, down in the description box, I will put all of the information for everything that I have shown, and I will go in and make sure what it is, and I will list it there. It might have been vintage cedar plank or just cedar plank. I know it was Lakeside, and I can't believe I've already forgotten. But again, all of the correct information will be listed down below in the description box if you're curious. All right, so my next previous finish is Jack's House Pinkeep by Stacy Nash. So I think I stitched this one in 2020. When I got it done, I decided that I wanted to mount it to a board. I don't know why, I just I think you were supposed to make it into a pillow, and I had done another piece, and I had mounted it to a board, and when I was stitching this, I just thought, I really think it would look great put on a wooden board. So the wooden board came from Homestead Needleworks, and I did have her cut me a custom size because he is quite a bit larger. He was just a little bit too large for her largest board, and he was a little too narrow. So she April did a custom order for me and it turned out fabulous. I love it. I love her boards. And I think he looks great mounted on it. It was so much fun to stitch, and I really like how it turned out, very prim, and I love it. So I stitched this piece onto a piece of 36 count linen. It was by R&R, but I'm sorry, I do not remember what I stitched it on. I wish I could be better about remembering. Some things I can, no problem. And then like some of the little stuff I just cannot remember. I think he was a scrap piece from something else I had worked on earlier in the year, but I'm pretty positive it's like an R&R linen. And I did use the called for threads. I did make a change. The pumpkins are supposed to be grinning jack-o'-lanterns, and I just did one pumpkin as a jack-o'-lantern, and I just filled in the other two. So I love it. I was so happy when I got this back out again. It made me smile. Because sometimes, even though you work on some of this stuff, you kind of forget about it a little bit. So then when you get it out and you're looking at it again, it makes you so happy to see it all. Then my last previous finish is Feast of Friendship by Blackbird Designs. So I did stitch this one last year. It might have been a carryover from the previous year. I remember it was a stitch along, and that stitch along was hosted by Lori Holt and Christy from Crosshatch Quilts. And I think a bunch of us crashed it and started stitching it. And so I remember starting it, and then I remember picking it back up a little bit later on and finishing it. So it's one of my favorite pieces. I absolutely love it. It's actually been out all year. I was gonna put it away, and I really liked it. I mean, I realized that it does have a pumpkin on it, but it also has other fruits that would come out in the summer. So I leave it out. I just really enjoy this piece so much when I see it. It sits, so I have it hanging on the wall, and it's above my quilt ladder that's out here, and just the whole combination of the quilts and it right at the top, it just makes me so happy. So I love it. I did stitch this one on a piece of 36 count Heartland by Picture This Plus, and I used a variety of floss or thread. I don't know if it's floss or thread. I hear it both ways. But I did stitch it with some of the called for thread and some of the not called for. And I love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite ones. I just really, really love it. And that particular frame it was a custom frame that I got from the Rusty Riff on Etsy. As long as you guys don't mind, I will plan to show some of my previous finishes next time. And hopefully between now and then I can locate the two pieces that I know are missing. I am hoping that they're in my autumn boxes. So hopefully. I can't imagine they would be anywhere else, but who knows? In my last video though, I did have a giveaway, and thank you so much to everyone who played along. The question that I had asked was, what is your state animal? And I enjoyed reading through all of the comments. Oregon's state animal is the beaver. And after I finished the video, I did go double check because I thought, you never know. But I was right, it is the beaver. We do share it with a couple of other states, so that was really cool. There were a couple of states that did not have a state animal, which I was a little surprised. I mean, I knew some countries probably wouldn't, but I guess I always assumed that all the states had it. So I was surprised, especially some of the states, that I know that there are bountiful animals that live there, but anyway. So if you are a winner, what you will need to do is contact me via email. I will put my contact information down below. Send me your address, and I will get your prize out in the mail to you as soon as I can. Number one is for the Lori Holt planner, and the winner is Kathy Copley. Number two was for the 5-inch square in a square, and the winner is Angela Howard. Number three is for the 6-inch square in a square, and that is Bambi Jeski. Number four is for the Marseille quilt pattern, and that winner is Crazy 4 X Stitch. So it's Crazy, the number 4, X, and Stitch. Number 5 is for the Santa Claus Typeface series, and that winner is Susan P. So congratulations to all of the winners. Again, thank you so much for playing along. I really do appreciate you guys so much that you don't mind the off-the-wall questions that I ask. So thank you so much for playing along. Over the past 2 weeks, the Fat Quarter Shop did send me a package, and the reason why I'm showing it kind of in between the giveaway is because it is today's giveaway. So they sent me the Stitch Quarterly. It's a cross-stitch subscription that is exclusively through the Fat Quarter Shop, and it comes out 4 times a year. So the Fall Stitch Quarterly has arrived, and it is called Fall is in the Air. And it is so super cute. So the subscription comes with the exclusive chart. It comes with a piece of 14 count Aida. It comes with a needle and the DMC to stitch it. It also comes with a cute needle minder, so adorable. And then this particular one comes with what is called cloth biddies, and it's a way, so like when I'm doing cross stitching, I have it in my Q-snap, and I use their thread bobs or thread holders. And so for quilters, we would take our thread and we would put it around there, and it would hold the thread to the, or it would, you know, keep everything nice and snug so that your thread doesn't come unraveled while it's on the spool. And I use it to hold my cross-stitched fabric around my Q-snap. But they also have kind of a new thing that's come out where it's got 2 magnets, and then it has a little plastic piece that goes around it. So you put your linen up in it or your Aida, and then you clip it with these cloth biddies. And this is what they look like. So it does come with a fox on it. And so in the Cross Stitch Quarterly subscription, this was sent with it as well. And of course, it comes in an adorable project bag. So if you are interested in winning this, what you will need to do is make sure that you are a subscriber, like the video, and comment your answer down below. I'm just going to have one giveaway for today's video. And the giveaway question is going to make you think a little bit. So let's say that your favorite thread company has invented a brand new autumn skein of thread, and you are the lucky person who has won the honor to name it. What would you name it? So if I were lucky enough to name an autumn themed skein of thread, I think I would name it Bountiful Harvest. So put your answer down below if you are interested in winning the Cross Stitch Quarterly, let me make sure I get this right, the Stitch Quarterly Cross Stitch subscription kit. If you're interested in winning it, all you need to do is answer down below if you were given the opportunity to name a brand new skein of thread that's an autumn color. What would you name it? If I had to name it, Bountiful Harvest. I hope that's not very confusing. I've done this part twice. Answer it down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe, and in my next video, I will announce a winner. Thank you so much to the Fat Quarter Shop for sending me this wonderful kit. I appreciate it so very much. I did get a little bit of Happy Meal over the past 2 weeks. My friend Tina surprised me with this adorable little small that she stitched for me. I absolutely love it. I've never had anybody make me anything like this before, and I absolutely treasure it. I love it so very much. She stitched it from a chart from Homespun Prims by Lori. And I love the colors. I love everything about it. It is just so absolutely adorable. I know it's been perched up behind me over here, but I actually have it in the other room, so that way I can look at it. But I definitely know this is going to be something that I will leave out year round. And the backing is just as cute. I love it. I'm pretty sure this is Kim Deal fabric. So, so very adorable. I love it, love it, love it. Love it so much. I also received a package from Denise, who is Goose Designs on Etsy, and hopefully her business card. For me, it looks like it's a little blurry, so hopefully it is not. And I will put her information down below in the description box. But she sent me two very beautiful project bags that she makes. And I love it. Love it, love it. Love pumpkins and I love sunflowers. So beautiful. She also sent me a Christmas one as well, which I love, love, love. I cannot wait to start using them. They're so beautiful. Thank you so much, Denise. Well, my friends, that brings me to the end of the cross-stitching part of the video. I am going to start talking about quilting next, so if that's not something you're interested in seeing, this is a great stopping off point, and I will be back in 2 weeks. Hope you have a great one, and again, I will put all of the information down below in the description box of everything that I have shown up until this point. All right, let's talk about quilts. So, the quilt hanging up behind me is called Hocus Pocusville by Crabapple Hill Studios. It is my absolute favorite quilt of all times. All the other quilts know it. I look forward to it coming out each and every year. It just makes me so happy. I get asked kind of the same questions about the quilt. So I kind of thought ahead of what some of the questions might be that I might get asked about it. So the quilt blocks are not a panel. They are all hand embroidered, and I will try to insert pictures or maybe like a short little video showing kind of a close-up of a couple of the blocks. But they are all hand embroidered. The only thing that I changed was in between all of the blocks you were supposed to do I think it's called a fly stitch or a herringbone stitch. I don't remember which one it was, but it was supposed to go like along the seam lines, and then in between each block you were supposed to do it. And I did not. That was the only thing I left out. I just wanted all of my blocks to kind of look like they belonged in one town. I did stitch it with DMC Threads. I used DMC 310 for the black, and the pumpkin was DMC 921. I did stitch it using 2 strands of floss or thread. I honestly never know what it is. I see it both ways. Floss, thread, I stitched it. So I used 2 strands. It does take a ton of thread. I remember I had a big handful when I started, and as I got towards like the last like 3 and 4 blocks, I was having to go to Michael's or Joann's and buy more thread. So it did take a little bit. All of the pumpkins, I did stitch it in the DMC 921. I wanted the pumpkins to kind of like stand out from the houses, and a lot of the houses have been personalized with members of my family. So my grandma, you can't see her block, but it is right up here. So I did my grandma's. I think my block is up here. It's the apothecary. Ethan's is somewhere on one of the sides, and then Brian and Allison's are there on the bottom. And unfortunately, you can't see the bottom because it's behind all of this. The fabric that I used for the middle section were all Civil War reproduction fabrics. There is like 1 or 2 sort of like 50s vibe fabric that I found when I was out shop hopping, and I threw them in because they just went really well with the quilt. But again, it's one of my favorites. I absolutely love it. You can still get the pattern. I had a lot of people saying that it was out of print, you can no longer get it, and as far as I know, it is still very much available, especially on Crabapple Hill Studios website, and I'll put a link to that down below. I know for a while she was like redoing a bunch of her patterns. This one might have been one of them to sort of like accommodate, because I know from the time that she started this until now, she does different, she does a lot of the coloring. She started off with crayons and went to colored pencils. And then I think this one was actually supposed to take weeks dye works, and then I think she recharted it for Cosmo. I don't really remember. But the pattern I had was one of the very first editions. The shop I bought it from is no longer there. It was located in Philomath, and they ran it as a block of the month, but at that time I could not afford to participate. So when they were done, then they had the patterns for sale, and that's when I bought it. And I immediately went to Joann's. I bought the muslin, and that's what I stitched all my blocks on. And then my grandma and I went shop hopping. And this is the quilt that I know I had talked about it it must have been last year. But my grandma and I had went shop hopping. I had been saving up because this was the quilt that I was going to buy fabric for. And that was the same time that the Civil War tribute quilt came out as a block of the month. And then the fabric line came out as well. And my grandma said, no, you need to buy your fabrics for this. And then later on, we'll come back on our next shop hop and you can buy the other fabrics. And of course, by that time, it was totally out of print. You couldn't get it. This was the quilt that I had been, I went on the shop hop, I'd saved up money, and I was going to buy fabric for this quilt. So this was the one. Anyway, so we went on a shop hop, and that's when I got all of the fabric for it. Of course, I bought way more than I needed, but that's okay because I used it in a quilt that I'm going to show you here in just a bit. So again, it's my favorite quilt, Hocus Pocusville by Crabapple Hill Studios. Very much still available, and I love it. And I will do my best to, I haven't decided yet if I'm gonna just do like a short little video of some of the blocks, like close-ups, or if I'll just insert pictures, but hopefully I've done that as I've been talking about it. Okay, so over the past 2 weeks, I did not get as much quilting done for myself as I originally thought I would. Last week, I don't think I worked on anything for myself. I worked on client quilts, and then I worked on project bags for my Etsy shop, which there are still some available in my Etsy shop, and I'll put a link to it down below. And I will continue to add project bags as we go. But when I wasn't quilting for clients, or working on project bags, there was a lot of other stuff going on that kind of took me away from my sewing machine in the house. So I didn't get as much done as I planned to. This past week, in some of my free time, I definitely was trying to get some, quilting accomplished for myself. One of my epic fails is my block bonanza. I really wanted to have all the blocks done by now because it's definitely something that I'm trying to keep up on, but I did not get a chance until last night to work on it. I got one measly block done. I have 3 more to go. So I'm hoping over the weekend to get my September block bonanza blocks complete. This is what the block bonanza looks like when it is all done. And the one block I did is this one. So I still have 3 more to go, and I'm going to make it one of my top priorities to get them done by the end of the weekend. I have to finish, there was a project, I kind of briefly mentioned it in my last video that I worked on. I couldn't show it because it's for a swap. So I have to turn it into a drum. So that is like my #1 priority, and then this is #2, I guess. I did work on my Scrappy Stars block. So if I didn't do anything, this was the one that I needed to make sure I had done. So I have 8 rows complete, and I have 1 more to go, and then this quilt is complete. So the row that I worked on is this top row right here. And I love it so much. Love it. Love it, love it. Can't wait to get this whole quilt done. It's so fabulous. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I did it all out of Civil War reproduction fabrics. I love it. I can't wait to have it done. It's just going to be so fun to have around. I love scrappy quilts. They're my favorite. Here is this is actually going to be the top when I have it all done. So I love it. Love it, love it. Can't wait. I'm so excited that that one is almost finished. I'm like giddy. I just cannot wait to have it totally done. So that is my number 3 priority. My Hope's Journey quilt, which I've been talking about, I have not started it yet. The first chapter or month has you make 3 blocks. So I just have to get it done by the end of September. So that is my number 4 priority. But, you know, things just didn't quite work out the way that I planned. With getting Allison ready to go back to school, there was like several days where I was away from the house, getting supplies and stuff for her, and then her move in, which took a lot longer than I anticipated, and just kind of everything. You know, that's just the way life goes sometimes. I am getting into the time of year where I will have more time. There won't be so many things taking me like away from the house, and you know how it goes. I did do something that's totally unquilt related, and I know I'm probably also going to get asked about this jack-o'-lantern that is up here on my Amish pie safe. So I made him back in 2020. I can't remember what his name was. It might be like Grungy Jack-o'-lantern or something like that. Prims by Denise on Etsy. She is the designer of the pattern that I used, and I love him. I love him so much. He was a lot of fun to put together. It was the first time I had ever worked with, making my pieces, painting and then distressing and sanding and all the things. And he's one of my favorite Halloween pieces. So for this particular thing, I threw away the pattern, but I made a little pumpkin witch. The pattern that I used is from Liberty Creek Primitives, and it is the Sophie pumpkin doll. And I will put a link to her Etsy shop down below. She was having a 60% off sale on her pattern, so I bought it. And here is my pumpkin witch. I haven't named her yet, but when I was making her, I wanted to go with like a Victorian, vintage, primitive, rusty, crusty vibe, and I think I nailed it. I just love her. I think she's so beautiful. She smells amazing because she's been stained, after I painted her, sanded her, all the pieces of her, even her clothing, went into my, it is a coffee cinnamon dye. And so she smells amazing. And I just absolutely love her. So I was working on, you leave all of you don't hem anything. You leave everything raw. So that way it frays nicely. But that was what I was working on not last weekend, but the weekend before. So it would have been the weekend that my last video came out. This is what I was working on. So I love her. I think she's so beautiful. The little buttons you see here came from an old bracelet of Allison's that had broken. And so I hot glued them to her lacy, the lace. I'm not sure what that is called, but you hot glued this part. So you hot glue the lace and then these 2 little things after you make her shirt. So I love her. She's so pretty. And I have another one that I purchased. It's a little bit shorter pumpkin doll that I do plan on making because I have an area across the room that definitely needs like a little something over there. So I do plan on making that at some point, I'm hoping over these next 2 weeks. I have one last quilt to share for today's video, And I'm going to do the same thing like I am doing with my previous Halloween cross-stitch finishes. I will be showing my previous Halloween quilt finishes over these next couple of videos. So I think like the next 2 videos will definitely have a lot more in them because I have a whole quilt ladder over here and a whole quilt ladder in the other room, as well as a couple of quilts that are just kind of laying on the couch. So I will have all of those to share with you over the next couple of videos. But this one I thought I would share it first. I don't think I did last year. I think this quilt went with Allison to school. I don't remember showing it. I might have, but I just don't think I did. Anyway, so a little background about this quilt before I show it. I don't know what the pattern is. I did this one shortly after I put this one together. So a lot of the fabrics that are in here, not all of them, but some of them came from this quilt. My quilt group did it was like a mystery quilt, but I later found out that the directions for it came out of a book that is something Nichols. It's people would exchange 5-inch pieces of fabric, and it came from this lady who designed this several books, and they were all like nickel quilts, and it had different names to them, but somewhere in it had nickel quilts in it. So this quilt pattern came from one of those, and I don't remember which one it was. And here's the quilt. So this is what it looks like. And again, it's a lot of the fabrics are from leftover from Hocus Pocusville because I bought way too much. This fabric right here, the pumpkins, came from my friend who at that time lived in Hawaii. And it's kind of a bigger size quilt. But I love it. I leave it out on the couch as a throw. And there is some fabric right here. My friend picked up, the same friend who sent me this, went with her mom to the International Quilt Show in Long Beach. And I think Primitive Gatherings had this in their booth. And so she brought me back a bunch of it, but it's a bunch of little pumpkins. So of course it had to go in here. So there's a lot of it in because I just really loved it. So I think it turned out amazing. And it's one of my favorites. Honestly, if I could get away with leaving it out year round, I would. Well, my friends, that brings me to the end of my video. If you've stuck around for this length of time, thank you so very, very much. I do really appreciate all of you guys who stop by and watch the video and spend a little bit of your day with me. I really, really appreciate it. The plan is to continue working on all of my unfinished projects, whatever that may be. And of course, I will be back in 2 weeks. It will be October when next we meet, so I am looking forward to it. By that time, the leaves will probably be starting to change around here, and I can't wait. I love the way the landscape looks when all the leaves are changing, so I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, it'll be October when next we meet. So I hope you have a great end of your September. If you would like to see what I'm up to in between my videos, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm Pumpkin Hollow Quilts, or I do have a Facebook page, which is called Pumpkin Hollow Quilting. And I will put a link to those down below. And you know what? I forgot to grab Freddie, so hang on a second. Here's Freddie. I forgot to show him in my last video. I meant to grab him, but when I got all done with the video and it was uploading, I realized I forgot to show him. He was napping, so he's a little bit lethargic. He did get a haircut, so he looks absolutely adorable. Huh. He's always so cute and cuddly. I just love him. Anyway, so I could not end my video without showing him. So I hope you guys have a great couple of weeks, and I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.